Amidst the thunderous complaints echoing through the Mercedes team about their tumultuous season, an epic showdown unfolds. They're locked in a fierce battle for second place in both championships, defying all odds with outstanding consistency. The stage is set this weekend in Austin, where they're on a mission to prove they're right to those silver medals. Will Mercedes snatch the crucial points they crave and desperately need? Or could the intra-team tension that's haunted them all season bring everything to a complete halt and destroy Mercedes' hopes? Let's check it out. Mercedes Qatar Grand Prix got off to the perfect start. On Friday evening, they secured an incredibly impressive second and third on the grid, setting them up perfectly for a double podium at Sunday's Grand Prix. Then they came 5th and 4th in the sprint, outscoring Ferrari by 9 points to 3, extending the gap to the Scuderia, who were chasing them for second in the constructors' standings. The team must have gone to bed on Saturday night excited to see Lewis and George on a podium, and potentially even winning the race. Though that was probably just in their wilder dreams. But then, within seconds of the race starting on Sunday, everything went wrong. Lewis Hamilton turned in on George Russell as they both attempted to round Max Verstappen at turn 1, and in the blink of an eye, Hamilton had ended his race and relegated George Russell to last place. Toto Wolff wasn't present at the Qatar Grand Prix, though he did radio in to George Russell after the crash to tell him to get his head down and race. And race he did. His charge through the field ended in him crossing the line in 4th, ahead of the only finishing Ferrari of Charles Leclerc in 5th. After that performance, Mercedes were left wistfully thinking of what could have been. Luckily for Hamilton, Perez had an awful race, finishing in 10th position and only extending his lead in the Drivers' Championship by 1 point. If Hamilton hadn't retired, the gap between the two could have been in single digits with just 5 races left. Speaking in his official preview of the United States Grand Prix, Toto Wolff addressed the collision between his two drivers, offering his first opinion on the matter since his terse radio message to Russell, telling him to concentrate shortly after the collision. The last round in Qatar was a case of what might have been. As a team, you never want to see your cars collide. It was frustrating to leave a lot of points on the table, particularly as the pace of the car was strong. It was encouraging though to see how the drivers and the team reacted. Both Lewis and George know the team comes first and do not ever intend to jeopardize that. I'm sure we'll all grow from this moment. We're now focused on Austin and making sure we get the most out of each upcoming weekend. It was a silly mistake from Hamilton, who's normally a fairly flawless driver, and the best thing the team can do now is just move on. Qatar was a massive missed opportunity for the team, but this weekend's Grand Prix in Austin is a much more exciting prospect for them. Toto Wolff continued by saying, "COTA is one of the most challenging modern tracks and a real thrill for the drivers. We'll be bringing a modified floor, which is the last significant update we will take to the track this year. It will hopefully bring a small gain, but more importantly is another milestone in setting our development path for the W15. These Mercedes upgrades offer the team a chance to really stamp their authority on second best behind Max Verstappen. Throughout the season, they've struggled to completely own that position. First, it was Fernando Alonso. Then it was the McLaren pairing, with Ferrari popping up every now and then when the track suited them. It has been Mercedes' consistency that has kept them in the fight though. If Hamilton is able to secure second in the Drivers' Championship, the lack of podiums he's earned on the way to that accolade would be shockingly low. At the moment, he has 5 in 17 races. In the 19-race 2013 season, Fernando Alonso came second with 9 podiums. In 2009, Vettel got second with 8 podiums in 17 races. Perhaps after the season is over, I'll work out what the lowest percentage of podium finishes to secure second place has ever been. I have a funny feeling that if Hamilton does get second, it could be this season. Of course, that isn't a record Lewis will be aiming for. He'll want to get as many podiums as possible in the remaining races, and those upgrades Toto Wolff spoke of are a big part of that. Mercedes will bring a new floor to this weekend's US GP at Austin, but the upgrade's importance goes beyond immediate performance gains. Hopefully it'll give us a bit of lap time, Mercedes technical director James Allison said at the Qatar Grand Prix. That's always a benefit, but it is mostly a useful thing because it's a bellwether for whether we're on the right track. In lap time terms, it will be small. Useful, but don't expect us to have let past Max Verstappen. Mercedes don't have to leap past Max though, they just have to outscore Perez and the Ferraris, and with the gain in lap time from this upgrade, they're on track to do that. Mercedes' 2022 and 2023 campaigns have been hampered by their troubled and inconsistent W13 and W14 cars, prompting a fundamental design change for next season. Allison said, "Mercedes now have a very clear idea of what we need to put right. I think that much of what ails us now is reasonably well understood and we're working to fix that," he explained. That is for next season though, so let's focus on this next race. Mercedes have set the clear goal of fighting for a podium finish at the upcoming United States Grand Prix, as the team look to bounce back from a compromised race last time out in Qatar and get their hands on some more silverware. Mercedes' form has ebbed and flowed throughout the season, depending on track characteristics, highlighted by them fighting for pole and victory in Singapore, slipping back in Japan, and returning to the fore again in Qatar. As such, trackside engineering director Andrew Chauvelin admitted to a big question in the Mercedes camp regarding exactly where they will stack up in the pecking order at the Circuit of the Americas, but he nonetheless hopes to see Hamilton and Russell pushing for podium places. It's an aggressive tarmac, very easy to overheat the tyres, and probably our worry there is going to be the high-speed performance. That's where Red Bull and McLaren look particularly strong. It does have plenty of low-speed corners, and in Qatar we were very good in the low speed. It's difficult to know exactly where we're going to stand out, but our goal is to go there and hopefully be fighting for a podium. We had a really good chance of getting both cars on the podium in Qatar, but hopefully we'll be fighting for the podium in Austin. The weekend's race at the Circuit of the Americas features another sprint, so there are plenty of points on offer for the Mercedes team. While Hamilton is leading the pair in the drivers' standings, there is plenty for both drivers to gain. They aren't just going to be battling McLaren, Ferrari and Sergio Perez, they're going to be battling each other as well. George Russell is sitting in 8th in the Drivers' Championship, and the places between him and his teammate are heavily congested. Russell sits on 132 points, ahead of him is Norris on 136, then Leclerc on 145 and Sainz on 153. Hamilton's gap to Perez is 30 points, but if Russell can make up 30 points on those ahead of him, he'll leap from 8th to 5th. There is also an elusive race win up for grabs. Carlos Sainz has been the only non-Red Bull driver to stand on the top step of the podium this season, but both Mercedes drivers will feel they can still do it. It was Brazil last season that the team secured their only win at, with George Russell taking the honours. If the Mercedes drivers think there's even a slither of a chance of a race win, like there was in Qatar, then all thoughts of camaraderie and prioritising the team will be out of the window. Nico Rosberg, who drove alongside Hamilton for 4 seasons at Mercedes and beat the Brit in his final F1 campaign in 2016 to seal a maiden driver's title, has warned that Russell must continue to apply pressure to Hamilton if he wants to avoid falling into the same role that Valtteri Bottas did. Things have been heating up there because also in Suzuka, it was well over the limit on one occasion when they both took each other off the track, Rosberg said. It's a very difficult situation for George as well. Unfortunately, you can't just be the nice guy in that situation. You have to also internally keep the pressure on. You have to make it difficult for the team, unfortunately. It sucks, but otherwise the team will always just take the easiest route. So it's very uncomfortable because George needs to be pushing, which he does on the radio. You hear him saying things like again and things like that. So he's really trying to hold against it. Mercedes are targeting a podium this weekend, but both of their drivers will be as well. Both know that they can make moves up the drivers' standings with big point hauls in the last 5 races. While the team might want them to work together in Austin, with second in the Constructors' Championship pretty much guaranteed, it is all about the Drivers' Championship now, and neither driver is going to back down. Can Mercedes secure the big points haul they want in Austin? And will we see the battle between George and Lewis flare up for a 3rd race in a row? Let me know your opinion in the comments down below, and if you can leave a like while you're there, it's always appreciated. Until next time, drive safe and bye for now.